Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am sitting in front of you with no eye makeup on because, as you can tell by the title of this video, we are going to be reviewing and playing with the new Natasha Denona All Matte Safari Palette. So I just recently picked this up. This is what it looks like. It came out as part of like the limited edition and it came out with like a lot of the new holiday palettes and stuff like that. So I just saw this and like these are my tones. It's all matte. Like I knew I needed this. I kind of have an idea of an eye look that I want to do. I looked up some inspo to see, but this palette, you know, like you can do so many things with, and it is really inspiring me to play with makeup, so I'm really excited to test it out, and I hope that this palette performs the way I'm expecting it to. Alright, so this is what the palette looks like, and like I said, this is the Natasha Denona Safari palette. This is all matte. You get 15 shadows in here. And this palette retails, I got this from Sephora, it costed $129, which is really expensive for an eyeshadow palette. However, this palette seems really versatile, and I do typically like her shadows. I have her green brown palette, and I have her purple blue palette as well, which I dip into quite frequently. If you haven't seen it yet, I did do a review on her Tropic palette that came out in the spring. Didn't go the best. If you want to check it out and see my thoughts on that, I'll link that down below as well, and you can go give that a watch. So like I said, this palette retails for $129, so I'm hoping that these shadows perform really well, because if you're paying that much money, you need consistent shadows. They should be blendable, they should be creamy, they should be pigmented. So we're gonna see if that's the case in this palette. So I'm opening the box, and you just pull it out like this, and first of all, look at this packaging. How amazing is this? So it's this matte olive with her name in light pink here. Let's open it up. This is what the palette looks like. You get a huge mirror, and then here are your 15 matte shadows. Now the one thing that's kind of like weird, I didn't get a plastic like film over, like they have those hygiene films, and there is some dirt and grime on the sides. I'm guessing from just like the shadows being pressed and all that stuff. So, I mean, it's fine, but it's just weird to, none of these look swatched, but it's just weird to me that there is no plastic on them. Shadows, they look super pretty, and looking at this, I can already see that there's a ton of eyeshadow looks that you can pull off with this. So you have kind of your cooler tones, your greens here. You can do kind of a warm sunset look here. And then you have purples and pinks that you can kind of play around with as well. You do have a bone shade and a highlight shade. You have plenty of transition colors, and you also have some deeper shades here that you can kind of work with to deepen up the crease. So I want to swatch a few. I'm just going to swatch them on my arm here. Like this blue color here called Feta Moringa. I think that's how you say it. Wow. Pretty good, pretty good. They are really, really creamy. I'm going to go into the shade Try, which is kind of this orangey color. Seems pretty good. And then I want to go into Masai, which is kind of a purpley wine color. Not bad. They seem pigmented. They're really buttery and soft. So these do so far feel kind of like her typical matte shadows. Not to be a spoiler alert for if you want to watch the Tropic video that I did, but the mattes were not the issue for me. It was the shimmers. So I'm hoping that because this is an all matte palette, that hopefully everything will be super consistent, and that, you know, we won't have any issues blending. I think there was one shadow that was a little bit patchy for me, but so far, from the three that I just swatched, they seem really buttery and creamy and kind of like her typical Natasha Denona shadow formula. So I'm really excited about that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and put these on our eyes and see how they perform. Alright, so I scooted you guys in nice and close so you can see what I'm doing, hopefully better on my eyes. So like I said, I kind of do have an idea and some inspiration of what I want to do on my eyes. So I did pull this photo from her Instagram, and I thought this was just super pretty and appropriate for fall. Really pretty warm tones, playing with a lot of the oranges, reds, and deeper browns. So I think that's kind of what we're going for today to kind of keep in theme with the colder months. So that way, hopefully this is a very wearable look that you guys can achieve and use. So to start this look, the first thing I'm gonna do is go into this bone shade here called Aya. So for these shades, I can't really pronounce any of them, so I'll flash it up on the screen so that way you know which color that I'm talking about. So I'm basically just going to fluff this all over my eyelid. I did prime with some concealer, but I just want to set that again to make sure that there's no creasing. I do this with literally every eyeshadow look. It's nothing new or exciting. So now that we have our eyelids set, I'm going to go into the color Tamarind here. This kind of browny saddle transition color, and this is going to go a little bit above the crease. And she does have her eyeshadow connected in kind of a wing, connecting the bottom lash line to the top lash line. So I am going to try and fan that color out a little bit. And this is my interpretation of the look. It's not going to come out exactly how hers does. We're here to test out the shadows and give you a first impression. So don't kill me if it doesn't look the exact same. So already I'm noticing, I don't know if you can see this, the kick up in this shadow is pretty hefty. There is a decent amount. With a lot of shadows, people do complain if there is kick up, which I get it. But typically a lot of kick up in shadows means that they blend really nicely. So if there is a lot of fallout, whatever, so be it, we'll work through it. The most important thing is that these shadows blend out to the extent that we want them to. This is like a perfect transition shade. It's coming off not as warm as I thought it would on the eye, but so far it is blending really nicely. I do really like this transition color. And I'm bringing that out pretty far. So next I'm going to go into the shade Amhara, this kind of terracotta-y shade. And I'm gonna take that on a Morphe M433 brush, and I'm going to put this a little bit lower in the crease. Wow, this color's really pretty too. If they all blend like this palette's a winner. So now I'm going to go in with like a flat shader brush, and I'm going to go into the color Tribe, this like bright reddish orange. This color just really. And I'm going to pack this in the center of the lid. Look how pigmented that is. Wow. And I'm gonna focus that more on like the center going out. Don't pull it in too far to the corner because we're gonna put a lighter color there. I'm just placing the color first, and then we will go in and blend. So I look ridiculous, I know. So far, I'm really digging this palette. I just don't know if like everybody needs a $129 eyeshadow palette. Yes, it is incredibly excessive, but I mean, so next I'm going to go into the color Thorn here. This is just a nice like warm brown, and I'm going to actually take that on a really thin pencil brush, tapping off the excess, and I'm going to create kind of my wing shape with that. This one's not as pigmented as the others were. Oh, there we go. And I'm pulling it into that orange color. I'm actually going to take an angled brush to kind of get that a little bit sharper. I'm actually going to dip into the shade Shea here, the darker brown, for the outer wing portion, and then I will go in with Thorn to blend it. Alright, this looks absolutely ridiculous at the moment, but it will come together, I promise. So now I'm going to take an M514 brush, and I'm going to dip into Thorn, which is lighter brown, kind of reddish tone, and I'm going to blend Tribe and Shea together. I'm going to go in with a little more Hara, and I'm going to kind of fluff that in the crease to blend that out. And kind of soften that wing portion. So I don't know if you can see, but that red really bled into the crease. So it didn't really stay put like I wanted it to. So they are kind of fluffing a little bit all over the place. That might just be my fault. I'm gonna go in with Tamarind now. Again, that transition shade we used, and just kind of cool everything down a little bit. Yeah, so that orange is really sticking in the crease and not really budging. So these aren't blending out like as well as I would like them to. I mean, there is still some blendability, but just not exactly what I want. So I'm gonna go back in with Tribe, this orange color, and I'm just gonna brighten that center portion of my eye up again. So now I'm gonna go in with another shader brush, and I'm going to go into the shade Desert Date right here. It's kind of an orangey creamsicle color, and I'm going to place this in the inner corner. Blending that into the red color. So we have kind of like a sunset gradient going on. I actually really like how this is looking. Now I'm going to take a little bit of Aya, actually, which is that bone shade, and I'm going to put that in my inner corner. So now I'm going to take this shade Shea and kind of put that on my lower lash line, and I'm just using a flat definer brush for that. And I'm keeping this on the outer, maybe like third, and I'm connecting it up to the line we created in the upper lash line. So now I'm going to take another pencil brush, and I'm actually going to go into the shade Masai, this like purpley color here, and we're going to put that on the rest of our lower lash line. So now I'm just going to take my Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil in the shade Whiskey, and I'm going to line my lower lash. And I'm actually going to tightline as well. So now I'm just going to take a fluffy blending brush, and I'm going to go into Tamarind again, and I'm going to smoke out my lower lash line. Just make sure everything blends really seamlessly. So I'm still seeing a little patchiness right here, so I'm going to see if I can kind of fix that up with some brown shadow Thorn, and I'm just taking another clean blending brush, and I'm just going to try and blend that a little bit better. There we go. Much better. Looking at the picture, the model has a really, really dark outer corner, and this just isn't showing up quite as pigmented, so I think I'm going to take a little bit of Voodoo and put that in the outer V. I don't know, it's just not coming up as dark as I want it to. So I'm actually really loving how the eyes look, so I'm going to go ahead and finish those up off camera, and then I'll be back with my final thoughts.
Alright guys, so I've gone ahead and finished off my eyes and added a lip. So I just quickly wanted to finish up this video and give you my final thoughts on the Natasha Denona Safari palette. First of all, love the scheme of the colors because you have kind of your rose that like give you an eye look that goes together, like the blues and greens, and you have kind of the sunset shades, and then you have like your purpley shades. So I really appreciate the layout and the fact that she gives you like a bone shade and some darker shades. It's really versatile, and I mean, like, I could see myself traveling with this palette. I see myself reaching for this when I need transitions or a matte shadow that I might just be missing in another palette. The colors are super unique. These are not like your everyday neutrals, but they are still super, super wearable, and they are kind of really unique. I mean, like, you look at these colors here, like stone and rhino, like people typically don't put these like grayish, blue, green slate colors on their eyes, but I think you can really create something super beautiful out of this, and I'm just so thrilled that the shadows blended to my expectations and that the color selection was there. It was unique, it was fun, it really inspired me. I want to play with it so much more now. Like, I saw this and it wasn't like, ugh, just like a matte neutral palette. Like, these colors are so fun, you can put them together and play with them in such a unique way, in ways that you can't with other palettes. So I think it's really wearable, but again, gives you the ability to play around with it. I mean, this does cost a pretty penny. Her eyeshadow palettes are really, really expensive. So if you are looking to save, I don't think you need this. There are other palettes. You can get shades very similar to this, not necessarily the exact same, but you can get, you know, like this color here, Shea, Thorn. These are all kind of more common colors, so you can get some of the shadows from other palettes. So I don't know necessarily if you need this palette if you're on a budget. But if you are looking to splurge a little bit and you do like Natasha Denona products and you kind of want something higher end, this palette really, I do enjoy it a lot. Some didn't apply super, super pigmented right off the bat, like these browns. I was hoping for more of a punch, but in the end it actually benefits you because you can go in a little bit heavy-handed and you're not like, oh my god, I screwed up, and now you have to spend 3 hours blending out your eyeshadow. They did blend so nicely and they are so wearable, and I didn't sit here for 3 hours trying to blend out my crease shade and then my lid shade and all of that. It was super easy to use. So she definitely got that part right, that they're creamy, they're nice. People might complain about the kick up. There is a decent amount of kick up and fallout, but you know, I did my face makeup first and then did my eye makeup, and I think it still came out beautifully. So I think that this is definitely an awesome palette, and I am going to be keeping it. I am really, really happy that I purchased this and that I did spend the money on it. If you can indulge and can spend the money on this, I recommend you go out and buy it. It is limited edition, so you want to get it while you can get your hands on it. All in all, really, really happy I bought this palette. I'm really glad I spent my money on it. All of the shadows were so consistent for me, and this was just a complete home run. So I'm really happy to have this in my collection. If you want me to do a few more tutorials using this, maybe the blues and greens, or focus more on purples, go ahead and leave me a comment down below and I'd be happy to do that. Always willing to take requests. So yeah, thank you so much for tuning into my video today. I hope you enjoyed it, and